Okay, I just thought I'd describe this sort of question. Here's a graph that you're given, so no equation, and you're told to sketch y equals negative f of x. So if we copy that and paste it down here, then what you think of, if for every x, okay, think of a point, say here. Now the new point is going to be negative fx, so it's going to be up here. A point here is going to be negative for that x value, so it's going to go down here. So if you think the whole thing is reflected, so what we'll do is we'll copy it again, and then I'm going to reflect it in the vertical. So can you see how this point here now goes down here? Okay, but my numbers are all upside down, so what do? It's a vertical flip, or a reflection in the x-axis. So now if we were to draw it again, well, what we do is we can just change this to -4 and that to 1, and that's y equals negative f of x. It's a reflection in the x-axis. It's when we replace y with negative y. So you've got negative y equals fx instead of y equals fx, and if we times both sides by -1 or divide both sides by -1, then y equals negative fx, which was what we were asked to graph. Okay, so that's your answer there. Now we've got y equals f of negative x. And if you think about that, what that means is the function values are swapped from x to negative x. So where this belongs to this particular x with y equals fx, now it's going to belong to the same distance over here, this particular x. And then say this point here belonging to that x, if we go an equal amount over this side, it's going to be over here. So these are the same distances. So what it is you're reflecting it in the y-axis. So if we cut it here, and then I do a rotate so that I flip it horizontally or reflect it in the y-axis. Here's our new graph, but now what we've got is this says negative, this says 1, so that's really -1. This is -4, but it's 4. So that's our graph now. So that's y equals f of negative x, and it's a reflection in the y-axis. And it was created by x being replaced with negative x, so that instead of y equals f of x, you've got y equals f of negative x, which is what we were asked to draw. Now we're asked to do a double whammy, negative f of negative x. So we draw our graph. So if we, let's do, it doesn't matter which order you do. If you do, you can go to from y equals f of x. Actually, oh no, what we'll do is we'll do a reflection in the x-axis, followed by a reflection in the y-axis. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to reflect it in the, I forgot what I said first, x-axis. Reflect it in the x-axis, which is the vertical flip, and then I'm going to reflect it in the y-axis, which is the horizontal flip, and that's our resulting graph. And so now we see our 1 over here should be a -1, because the axis doesn't flip, just the curve flips, and this should be a 4. So the graph is like this. And that's y equals negative f of negative x. Now, I could do the same thing in the reverse order. I could reflect it in the y-axis first, and then reflect it in the x-axis, and we'll end up with the same graph. Well, it's pretty obvious anyway, isn't it? I don't think I'll do it. Or maybe I'll do it quickly. Reflect in the y-axis. So rotate y-axis, and then reflect in the x-axis. And there we go. Same graph as up there. You have to change this to -1 and that to 4, because the axis doesn't flip, just the curve does. Thanks.